Dear Ukrainian President Zelensky, I see you and your Western pals have added me to the peacemaker list, the list used by Ukrainian forces to execute people captured in Ukraine that are deemed to be enemies of Ukraine. I must say, by adding journalists, that's very democratic of you. You and the Western government supporting this list should be proud. I want to look at the laws that you claim I have broken and give my defense. The first crime, propaganda of Nazism and fascism by the Ukrainian armed forces. I actually went to the Donbass territory that you call Ukraine, and I spoke to the people there. These are the people that lost everything. They've lost loved ones and they've lost their homes. These people want to hold the responsible parties accountable for what has happened. And yet they told how your forces would use them as human shields.
160. Там сидели на крыше украинские защитники. Они распалили там костер и пуляли туда. Дом сгорел. Дом сгорел.
Когда хотели, получается, это люди хотели тушить пожары, их снайперы расстреляли украинские. Тушить. А его, получается, этих людей, которые тушили, их расстреляли снайперы.
Снайперы подстрелили.
Одного человека, да? Нет, там их, было 5 человек. Да, вот, а 5 человек там тоже были, которые там...
Дети там, вот, мы сидим в подвале.
How your forces would shoot at them for trying to leave and evacuate.
And they shooting for us from автомats, yes, Ukrainian. We see it. And thank you, Russian, because they feed us, they are
Giving you clothing?
Yes, yes, and only they. Ukrainian don't help us anyway. Ukrainian shooting for us. They killing our people.
Когда русские солдаты вошли в подвалы проверять, нет ли украинцев, то они ужаснулись, сколько в подвалах людей. А сказали, что люди все вывезены, эвакуированы из города.
Наш президент великий, Зеленский.
Наши власти украинские сказали, что люди с города эвакуированы.
They told how your men would come to the intensive care hospitals and steal all the medicine from the sick and the injured, and how they would steal the food that they could, and the food that was edible that they couldn't take with them, they would smash on the ground with their boots.
Тушенку забирают, а продукты берут,
И рассыпают макароны, вот это все.
чтобы никому ничего не давали.
The Ukrainians did? They took everything?
Да,
Like medicine and medical supplies?
Да,
Россия дает,
Россия дает, они уничтожают, твари.
тушенку забирают, а продукты уничтожают.
Bring them more?
Это самые натуральные фашисты.
Now, this was not me reporting at all. These were interviews with the words given by the people. And these are the Nazi symbolism used and worn by your own troops. Now, the second crime that you allege that I participated in, participation in the information special operation of Russia, the aggressor country and terrorist, against Ukraine. Now, is this what we are calling journalism these days? By this very definition, every journalist who went to Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, and other places with the United States is guilty by a crime punishable by execution? Now, the next crime you listed was information support for the open military attack of fascist Russia on Ukraine. You got me on this one. Before the special operation even began, President Putin himself came to my apartment, an American guy living in Moscow, and asked me to brief him on everything that I knew about Ukraine. Now, unfortunately, the only thing I understood about Ukraine at the time was the quality of women there on Tinder. And I told him that in this case, it was much better just to stay in Russia, where all the best women are. Now, the last one you list on the site is encroachment on the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Ukraine. Now, in my defense on this one, I passed through passport control on the Russian side and then on the Ukrainian side, but the Ukrainian side, they were having electrical problems. And as a result, the Ukrainian Border Patrol officers were absent. Now, if they were there, I would have gladly given them my documents to pass through the border. Instead of blaming me for this one, perhaps you should blame them for their dereliction of their duties. Now, I understand that you're upset that me and my colleagues have been to your country reporting truth, and it reflects poorly for you. And while I think my execution is unwarranted, I don't want you to be completely unhappy that I suffer no punishment at all. So here's my proposal for you. The last time I was in Kherson, you know, the city that you were telling the American media that the Ukrainian army was in control of, I went on a stroll, walking like a pimp through a lovely park with a few guys from the Russian military, walking like we owned the place. Anyway, we came across a coffee stand and I decided to buy a cappuccino for me and the guys. The problem was the coffee stand was only equipped to take the Ukrainian currency hryvnia. But luckily for me, there was a really nice civilian guy walking past that stopped to talk to us, and he gave me some of his hryvnia for Russian rubles. Now, I'm thinking maybe it was kindness because he was so nice to us, and we had a really nice conversation. He was very happy that Russia was now there. But I think he understood that soon the currency would be changing. Anyway, after paying, I have 30 hryvnia left. I would be happy to give this to you as a payment of a fine. Now for you, I would imagine 30 hryvnia would be symbolic, like the 30 pieces of silver Judas got for betraying Jesus. You have sold out your country. I implore you to take this offer. It's a great deal. Obviously not as great as the $40 billion my government gave to you and your cronies so they could launder it and make most of it disappear into your and the American politicians and your cronies' bank accounts. But it's still money that you didn't have before, and then you could use this money to feed your troops that don't have any food. Maybe then they won't run away. Besides, you should take this money while you can, before the official currency of Ukraine is the Russian ruble. Now, speaking of that $40 billion, I'm pleased to see how much pandering it bought from the West, getting rid of the Nazi symbolism on the Azov uniforms and simultaneously wearing the LGBTQ plus gay pride uniform patches was a very nice touch, and just in time for Gay Pride Month, no less. Mr. Zelensky, you are a wonderful actor. Between you and the CIA and the censoring of American technology companies, your acting has fooled millions of unsuspecting people around the world. It's just that some people are much harder to fool than others. And if that's what keeps me on the peacemaker list, then I consider it a badge of honor. Have a good day, and I will see you the next time I'm in Ukraine. Peace.